Welcome to another edition of the Business Spotlight. And this afternoon, because it is afternoon where we are, I have absolute pleasure introducing Luis Valente, whom is the CEO and the founder, or co-founder, in fairness, of a business, a very important business, I might add, called ILOF. Okay, so Luis is going to explain to us a little more about ILOF in a few minutes, but let me just give a little more background. We've got a business that was born in Oxfordshire, officially is based in London and Portugal, but more importantly, it's an organization that is dedicated to personalized medicine. And if you were to look on the website, and I recommend that you do look at ILOF and check out Lewis's website, you'll find that they have a very clear statement, and that statement is this: accelerating a new era of personal medicine. This is very important work that these brilliant people are doing. So, Lewis, welcome to Business Spotlight. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the invite, Ali.
So, please, for the benefit of the audience, everybody listening, tell us all about your story. Where were the origins, and how did we get from there to where we are today at ILOF? Fascinating stuff.
Absolutely. So my name is Luis. I serve as CEO of ILOF, and well, I get my background is in engineering. I was trained as well as an engineer, as a computer scientist, the way you want to call it. But I quickly understood that I didn't want to spend my entire life in software. As good paying as my friends all and colleagues all are, I wanted to dedicate my life into something else, into bigger problems. I
Yeah.
got interested in deep tech quite early. So I've been working with or around deep tech technologies for quite some time. Also in a couple of well, scale ups
Okay.
before, and yeah, I mean, so in 2019, I had previously, while working in an R&D institute, I had come in contact with a really interesting team and a really amazing vision around how to use the intersection between artificial intelligence, photonics, and biology to accelerate personalized medicine to the masses. And at the time, I decided to quit my job. So I was working at an American company, also deep tech, but in a completely different field. And I decided to quit my job, and together with yeah, some amazing co-founders, started a fundraising journey. We end up at this point raising around, well, securing around 10 million euros of funding from multiple investors, including
Wow.
Microsoft Ventures.
Wow.
And yeah, we've been working with pharmas, biotechs, and really R&D institutes to help them get life-saving medications to the patient's hands faster.
Wow. So if you could help us understand your, what would you describe as the absolute purpose? You see, the reason for asking this question, Lewis, is that small business owners are often not clear on what their purpose is, right? So what would you describe if the board of directors were on this call right now? What would be the common answer?
So I like to think that the common answer would be that even so, the purpose is to make personalized medicine a reality in for the common Joe, everywhere around the globe. So for the masses and not just for the uber wealthy people in the world. So that would be the ultimate mission, to provide and develop tools
Mm.
that can take personalized medicine and scale it to the masses.
Fascinating, fascinating. So when you guys sit down and you think about vision, what tools are you using? How are you creating the vision as a collection of leaders in this business, Louis?
So first of all, I think we all care very deeply about the message and about the importance of the message as a tool to align everyone and to
Okay.
really deliver value. So we're solving what we consider one of the biggest deep tech problems in this space. A problem that has never been solved in the history of mankind. So, personalized medicine, even though it's one of the biggest and more promising fields that humans can be working right now,
Yeah.
it still hasn't been completely cracked. So it's a difficult problem enough that requires absolute alignment,
Mm.
and it requires that everyone working in the business to be gung ho around what are we doing, why are we doing it, and for whom. And basically, so the way that we craft this mission and vision statements is by getting everyone around the table, and go back to the basis, what we care about, why are we doing this, why have we left better paying jobs, or why have we left like more promising careers in the richer industries to try and make an impact in the world. And then we work backwards from there. And once we get to a statement we like, we ran it through a couple other people in the team, and then that's how we got to most of the statements that you can actually find in our website.
So this is fantastic education, right, for people that are watching this program, because if in small business land you're not sitting down and creating the vision and understanding some words or creating some words that will explain to a supplier or to an employee or a potential employee or even a client, a customer, exactly what you stand for, then this is mission critical, right? So thank you for sharing that, because I think the words that you use there to explain alignment, I thought that the word gung ho or words gung ho were really interesting. So can we stay there for a minute? Are you suggesting then that you don't accept the norm? So as a group, you're saying, okay, we're going to have to go outside of the envelope here. We've got to push. If you're breaking new technology and new ground, you must be doing that to a degree, I would have thought, right?
That's, I guess, the beauty and at the same time the challenge of going
Right.
beyond the state of the art. Just
Yeah.
doing what everyone else did, it doesn't cut it, because
Nothing changes,
that
right?
that that,
Yeah.
that wasn't let me put it like that. And again, it became, I guess, a controversial topic, but either we like it or not, I guess vaccines did play the very important role in how we escaped the previous pandemic.
Absolutely.
And either we like it or not, the new kind of vaccines, mRNA vaccines, which were developed in record time, and the UK has a huge role in that actually.
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah.
It was breakthrough technology, previously untested, and it was only capable. So that impact was only delivered to people's lives by doing stuff that was never done previously in the history of mankind. And
I,
yeah, I'm a fundamental believer that the biggest transformational leaps in human history have been achieved by people doing things that had never been done in the history of mankind.
Yeah. So you've mentioned AI a couple times now. Um, Again, for the typical business owner watching this show, they're going to be sat there thinking, well, yeah, AI is really cool. ChatGPT is a good example, blah, 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 right? So, but I'm assuming that you guys are going way beyond that. Are you leveraging AI to help you with the thinking process? Or is it's actually really tell us more about that. That's very cool.
So in a nutshell, what ILOF is doing is we're collecting massive amounts of multimodal data, so data from various sources, and
Mm,
then we're training algorithms that can understand human heterogeneity, so can understand the subtle differences around how we're all different from each other, and
okay,
help develop the right medication to the right patient, and also help understand how a certain disease is going to evolve in a certain person.
mm,
And so basically what we're doing can be considered an advanced form of like creating virtual, if you want to call it like that, virtual physicians, or virtual, even virtual physicists that can analyze these complex natural signals that are collected from bodily fluids,
mm.
and can analyze it and make decisions on an automated way. So it goes beyond just in empowering humans, and it really creates possibilities that weren't there before, because our capability as humans to detect patterns is limited,
Sure.
and the capability of AI And overall of machines to detect patterns, it's actually much better than ours.
Yeah, I mean, we're opening up a subject here, which is a hot potato, right? To use a phrase. Hopefully, you know what that means. Yeah, controversial perhaps is a better phrase, but the point being that again, the small business owner should be smart, right? So how can they also leverage this technology? In what ways can they replicate what you're doing, but maybe obviously in their arena? Really important stuff, guys. As you're watching this, listen to what Lois is saying because he's pushing the boundaries here. Okay, I'm going to change the subject slightly now, Lois, if you don't mind, because we had a small conversation before the show began around your advisors, right? So apparently, Lois has 6 different people advising him and the board. Each one has expertise in one of 3 key areas, plus business, plus the health sector, etc. So just explain for the listener a little bit about that, Lewis, and because obviously what we want to get across here to these lovely people watching is that I know I don't need an advisor, or I know I don't need to learn, that is probably going to be limiting them, almost certainly will be, right? So tell us.
Well, I couldn't be a more firm believer that you never, even if you're the world expert in your topic, which you probably may not be, because
Yeah.
again, there's quite a few billion people in the world, so the possibility of you being the single best one is potentially limited. But even if you are, I'm a firm believer that different perspectives are going to in one way or another are going to be generating always new knowledge. And the vision that I have around it is that realizing we don't know, and there's information that others have, information or thoughts that others have that we don't, is fundamentally what makes us humans. And that so there's a story that I think about a lot of times, which is I saw a documentary one day that one of the things that differentiate us from animals, even like greater apes, like even like animals that are super, let's say, high in the IQ chain, is
Mhm.
that never has any animal asked a single question.
Mm.
So yeah, not even an ape, right? They never ask, and they know how to communicate. They learned a lot of things. They know how to communicate. They know how to ask.
Mm.
They know how to tell what they want.
Mhm.
But they never ever asked a single question. And and one of the ways I like to think about it is that they don't assume that there's other people that have information that they don't. They don't assume that there can't be any other information aside from the ones that they already have. And one of the things that we normally do with our team is that we don't be like don't be like an ape. Recognize that there's information you don't have and ask for help. And that goes that is then expanded to all parts of the business, from the most operational frontline aspects to the more top level decisions at board level.
Yeah, fascinating. Again, I truly, the people watching this live, if you like, not live, but a living example of, if we're a hairdressing salon, or we're running an automotive business, or we're deep tech on a global scale, changing the course of history, then we need to have an open mind, right? If we're closed, we're done. We're limited. That's massive advice. Brilliant stuff. So let's come back round again to running the company now. What's your philosophy on the keys to effective management? What would you say is quintessential, central to getting the best out of people, Lewis?
Uh, so two things. Number one, I think that I'm a firm believer that people genuinely want to feel like they're creating impact. And there's a lot of studies around it. So if you have, for example, two people doing like folding paper,
Yeah.
and then one person is folding paper, and every 30 minutes someone goes there and they take the paper and they take it away, like I don't know, like almost an assembly line. And then there's another group of people where every 30 minutes someone goes there and it rips the papers into shreds and they throw it into the bin.
Mm,
And what research shows is that even when people are being paid per paper folder, so they have the same incentive, the
mm.
people that have the paper shredded in front of them are a lot less quick. They're a lot lower performing than the people that have the paper just taken away like if it was important. And what it shows me is that even if people are getting paid the same, they want to feel like they have impact, like they're creating, like they're doing something that matters.
Value.
So it really, for me, it's super important to try and allow people to feel like their work matter, because if they feel like their work doesn't matter, then they're fundamentally not going to be so dedicated. And then the second is that, so there's a famous saying in politics, which is like all politics is local, right? And so in this case, I think everything is personal, right? I mean, every business decision, if you can track down anything that you're asking one of your teammates to do, and how if you can track about how this will create an impact, not just in the world, but on that individual person specifically, that's also going to be very important to increase morale and to increase performance. So if you say, okay, what do you want to go? Oh, I want to be a VP of something. Okay, perfect. In order for us to get there, we need Series A, or we needed to raise a bigger round. In order to raise this bigger round, we need to hit this technical metric. In order to reach this technical metric, we need to get the product out of the door. And that's why it's important that you deliver this piece of the software on time. And again, if we can map out how every single action that
Uh,
people do in the company is going to eventually also contribute to their success, that's also important. And one of the ways we do it is, for example, everyone has stock options in the company. Everyone has stock. So
but,
everyone has an ability to share from the
but
upside.
very, very,
And that's one of the ways that people can use
very.
to make sure that the team is aligned with the vision and the mission.
So it's interesting to just unravel that a little bit again for the benefit of the people listening, because what I was hearing there was a little bit of I want to say a story of two halves, really. So the first portion of your answer was very much people orientated. Very, what I was feeling there was was really leadership. It was the, you know, the atmosphere, the culture, the inspiration. You are valued. We want to inspire you. That's wonderful. But then, of course, the second part was you really turned the screw on management, which is about the process, right? It's about understanding the steps that everybody's employed to follow and making sure that there's accountability and metrics. And this is really important. Again, the two subjects are probably, I mean, we talk a lot at Power Play about the fact that without world-class marketing and without world-class team, you don't end up with a world-class business, right? So, um, actually, I think probably if you said to me, which is the hardest for a small business person to master? Is it marketing or is it team? I think it's the last one. Would you agree? I don't know if you agree.
Well, I mean, everything for me, everything is a people business, and that's why business is hard.
Yeah.
So I fully agree with your statement.
You have to find them. You have to hire them, you have to induct them, and then you've got to retain the talent, right? This is difficult territory. Yeah, really interesting. So what kind of mechanisms do you use to ensure that your people are constantly developing? How do you train them and develop your team, Luis?
Uh, Very good question. So first of all, the first part is to continuously challenge them. So, and especially again, so we're a deep tech company, we're a deep tech startup. So
So
that means that you're always going to be expected to operate outside of your zone of comfort. But
yeah,
more than that, I think making and pushing people into venturing out of their zone of competence is
okay,
sometimes important.
okay,
It just so famously, and again, either you like it or not, is a very polarizing character. But Elon Musk famously ventured into rocket building
mm,
because he realized that he cared too much about space exploration. He understood zero about rocket science, but he was willing to give it a try. And then he built a really cool company, which is at this point creating a massive impact in the world, which is SpaceX. One of the things that we incentivize people is like venture out of your comfort zone. Like if you're a data scientist, go and hang out with the people around biology, try to learn something.
Wow.
If you're a physicist and you understand a lot about atoms, then go understand a lot about bits. Just go and hang out by the software engineers, by the data scientists. Um, and this will naturally create opportunities for development. And then the team itself will start to say, hey, I need training on this, I need training on that, because they want to be more comfortable in different domain areas. And of course, it's slightly easier for us because again, we're a company within a company with multiple different and difficult domain areas. But I think this is attainable in every single business.
Yeah, fascinating. I mean, I guess what get out of your lane, right? So you're in the lane of expertise, but what is it that you don't know? And if you have the intellect to be world class in your lane, then you've got the intellect to really do well in another one as well. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. And is there a formal procedure in place? Is that recorded? Does each person have like a file where yeah,
We
okay.
do. We
Yeah.
do. We have a full review and also let's say career development process that where that is reported. We have quarterly meetings around that. I think this is actually one of the things that we do reasonably well as a startup. And not always are you going to be able to pay attention, especially in a startup. Sometimes you're just putting out fires, fighting against time, but at least I mean aiming to do it and write it down and making
Uh,
sure that people
yeah,
follow the process is
absolutely.
incredibly
Absolutely.
important.
Absolutely. So let's change direction slightly now. For the benefit of everybody watching, listening, what, how would you answer this question? Where are you going to be in 5 years' time? What does this business look like in 5 years' time? What kind of help everybody understand how big you're thinking, Louis?
So ILOF can be very much a company that is currently so again in a nutshell we're working with at this point mostly on the drug discovery and drug development space. So we're helping pharmaceutical companies, biotechs, and overall R&D institutes to develop and get life-saving medications to patient
Yeah,
hands faster.
yeah,
But so, for example, one of the things that we believe we will be achieving within this time horizon is to bring this impact closer into people's lives, everyday lives, and the way that they relate themselves with healthcare. So I'll give you an example.
mm,
When you go into a store and you want to buy a T-shirt,
mm,
they don't give you the first t-shirt they find. They're going to ask you what is your size, right? And
mm.
let's say you're an M size and they gave you an XL size. You put it on and you don't say the shirt is broken or the shirt is somehow damaged. You just say it's not my size, right? Because you know your size and there's a accurate way to understand what is the right t-shirt for you. Currently in medicine, just physicians and they don't have this kind of tools. Like if you
Yeah,
go to an appointment with a GP and you have a
once.
problem,
Mm,
they're going to be like, yeah, try this medication. And this is really true, especially with neural diseases,
mm,
neurodegenerative diseases. They're going to say, okay, try this medication. If it doesn't work, maybe come back in a month or two. We'll try another one and another one. And if it doesn't work, in another one. And then until either you give up or they blindly hit the right one or one of the two. And I like to think that a business like ILOF can accelerate your arrival also at the patient hands and at clinicians disposal of tools that can remove this randomness out
yeah,
of the way that people interact with their health
I see.
and allow them to have treatment plans and really overall decisions that are specifically for them and not just for the average person because no one is average.
No, of course, absolutely. Commercialization. Let's bring today's session a little bit towards its close today by talking a bit about commercialization. So it would be very easy for ILOF to get caught up with the power and the majesty of solving massive problems in the health world, in the healthcare sector. But what about commercialization? Because at the end of the day, you are a business as well, right? So how do you guys navigate commercial success? Are you business planning against commercial metrics, or are you business planning against other things? Be interesting to understand that.
Uh, very good question. So we do both.
Okay.
So we do both. So at this point, we do business metrics against, well, just how much, what is the scale of the product, and how much is this, how the number of deployments, and just monetization, just
Yeah.
cold monetization. But there's also, man, and again, considering that a lot of what we're doing is still advancing the state of the art and building a product that was never built in the history of mankind, there's a lot of even products and metrics around the product that you can't measure with
No,
dollar or pound signs.
you would limit
Uh,
it if you did, right?
yeah. So one of the things that we do is we try, and this is, so we try to do something similar to what OpenAI famously did in the early days, which is we validated based on execution. So what did we said we were going to do versus what did we end up doing? And then instead of coming up with a way to become very good at deciding what experiment what you will run, or what proof point you will get, you become very good at understanding what succeeded, what experiment succeeded, and what experiment failed. And this is
I
very
see.
important, especially when you're doing research and development, which is you basically you try to run as many experiments as possible. So it's almost like if you're stuck in a maze and you have a very fuzzy map, you don't know exactly the way out. So intuitively, you know that the fastest way out of that maze is going to be to increase your speed and to understand which is the, so when you see a dead end, you immediately like, okay, this is a dead end, I'm going somewhere else. And one of our metrics is, again, becoming very good at identifying when did we found the dead end and where we
Wow.
just need to pivot and explore some other avenue. And how quickly we do this is one of the metrics.
I, again, isn't it fascinating that the anybody listening to this, watching this show, should understand the relevance of what you said to their business, right? So, the old cliche about fail fast is there, isn't it? It's work out what's not working and work it out really quickly so you can pivot and you can go in different directions. You know what, Luis? I think for me, for what summarizes this discussion, I think really for everybody is the fact that your vision um, is almost limitless. If everybody that watches this program is able to open their mind and give themselves the permission to think bigger, to structure their leadership, to their management, their advisory capacity, the way that they're approaching. If they were to take some leaves out of your book, I think we would have a lot of very successful businesses there. Lewis, thank you so much for your time today and joining in. It's been fascinating, and please agree to come back, because I think we'd like at one point to maybe look a little grittier in what's going on and how you're making your decisions, and help people understand how they can really learn from you in terms of running the business. Is that okay?
That's super. And again, I had a lot of fun. Ellis, thank you so much for all the questions. And yeah, looking forward
You're
to being back.
you're very welcome, and thank you very much. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much, Ellis.